welcome to Eco India, a sustainability magazine where we introduce you to change makers, people like you and I who are finding solutions to some of the most pressing problems in the world today. I'm Sanuta Raghu, coming to you from Mumbai in India. This week, let's look at how an organization in Mumbai is changing people's perception of the city's stray dogs. What Malaysians are doing to reduce their carbon footprint, and how an art project is making a bold statement to combat air pollution and climate change. But first, to a story that has a brutal beginning, but luckily a happy ending. In the 80s and the early 90s, over 400,000 stray dogs in Mumbai were caught and killed mercilessly if they remained unclaimed. Local NGOs have fought hard to make sure that this practice is never brought back. For Abodaras, the CEO of Welfare of Stray Dogs, which is at the forefront of this fight, there's still a long road ahead. When Abodaras walks on the streets of Mumbai, the city's stray dogs unfailingly greet him with a strong sense of recognition. Many times to the surprise of passers-by.
As a kid, I used to see dogs being taken away, dogs that were in our neighborhood, dogs that we knew as Tommy or Blackie, and the municipality used to take away and kill them. We realized that why should this be done when there are alternatives? Basanti.
For 22 years, Aras and his NGO, the Welfare of Stray Dogs, have been working towards the alternative.
Don't worry, nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. She has an eye infection also.
Every Sunday, one of the many routines they follow religiously is to provide first aid to about 20 dogs in the fort area of South Mumbai.
Yeah. Earlier, the municipal corporation used to kill them because they thought that was the only way it could bring down rabies or the stray dog population. For me, this 22-year-old journey, it's a long-term relationship, and every time a dog passes away, a part of me, dies. Stray dogs in Mumbai, who typically belong to the indigenous Paria breed, have had a rough history. They were considered a nuisance and a threat because they are potential carriers of the rabies virus. In the early 90s, it was organizations like Aras's that fought hard for their right to be treated humanely. Jago. Okay. Don't drop that. The way it used to work, that dogs used to be kept for 3 days by the municipal corporation in a dog pound, and if nobody claimed them, they used to electrocute them. So the way we used to function is we used to go and rescue these dogs.
Good boy.
We convinced the municipal corporation with figures of how rabies deaths have not gone down, the street dog population has not gone down, that let us try an alternative, which was a scientific, humane method of controlling the dog population, which is called what we call an animal birth control program, or what we call sterilization or spay-neuter.
It wasn't until 2001 that a set of rules under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act made it mandatory for local governments to sterilize stray dogs instead of kill them. But a lack of infrastructure and funds has meant that it has fallen upon NGOs, which are often financed through donations and grants, to control and maintain the stray dogs population in Mumbai. Julie. Welfare of stray dogs now sterilizes and vaccinates close to 300 dogs a month.
So Julie had a little wound, a fatty tumor, and we've been treating her.
What this means is that there are fewer stray dogs and fewer packs, and so they are healthier and friendlier.
So that will prevent it from getting any maggots, which is almost healed now, and we've been treating her for the last 4-5 weeks. Well, I think what we call stray dogs are actually not stray per se. The World Health Organization will call them is free roaming pets. So they are looked after by somebody or the other on the street, the policeman, the hawker, the person who lives on the street, you know. So they are the ones who look after them, give them names.
Ironi, oi, chal bahar chal. हो जा इधर आ. कोयल, आ बैठ लिया. आ बैठो.
Uma Khan cares for 9 such free roaming pets who live with her in a makeshift shelter on one of the city's streets.
कौन हो उसका वो? आजा. लंबो आ.
She works as a housemaid and makes just enough to feed her family of 2 and her adopted dogs. But it hasn't been easy.
वो हम लोग की कंप्लेंट बहुत बार करा है पुलिस स्टेशन में. कंप्लेंट बहुत बार किया पुलिस स्टेशन में.
Like Uma, there are many others who are part of a relentless but silent army of dog carers in the city.
Really planned, अजिबात नव्हतं हे सगळं, पण just went on happening.
Every evening, Shilpa Bej cooks for 28 dogs in her locality.
Of course, we lost few of them, but like really thanks to WSD, sterilizations and सगळं WSD नेच केलंय.
A local feeder she has employed then carries the tightly packed lunch boxes to the dogs, eagerly waiting for their daily meal.
क्या बोलते? चल. चले बच्चों, चल. Hey Tyson, इधर आ.
It is a big responsibility. Of course, we knew about it. So my husband and we thought about it before. That if we started, then we couldn't stop it. We couldn't stop it. So that's when we said yes to it. They wait for us. They know the timings. They're getting proper food, so then they don't go searching. And has not been a day that we have not given them touch wood, right? Till now, at least, it's never been a day that we have not fed them since this 13 years. More than that, maybe.
बटले खा. Tommy खा. Good boy.
People's perceptions of street dogs have changed, where earlier they used to just see a street dog being taken away, sterilized and put back. Now they see people coming and vaccinating them in front. So they think that at least if these dogs are not harmful to them, they are not harmful to us, because they are not. So they've realized that this is the best way that, you know, the street dogs and humans can live in harmony.
Now, experts say that stray dogs thrive in Indian cities because it's become easier to find food. It looks like it's not very different in Germany either, except it's wild boars there, who wander into the city's limits and often don't go back into the wild. The German capital Berlin now has a commissioner for wild animals, and his primary job is to de-escalate conflict between humans and the city's growing urban wildlife.
A wild boar strolling through Berlin.
We're not deep in the forest, but in a large park where thousands of people are out and about. They don't appear to be frightened of us.
Still, the boars keep their distance. Dirk Ehlert is the city's point man for wild animals. People often call him when they see a boar in the garden or a raccoon on the roof. He knows where the various species like to hang out. Locals out for a walk tend to take the company in their stride.
The wild boar have been here for ages, since I was a kid. I know how to deal with them. If they're coming towards me, I walk towards them, and they scatter.
Where I live in the suburbs, we're used to them. I used to run with the boars on my way home, but they still make me a bit nervous.
There are probably between 2,000 and 4,000 in Berlin. Several other species also feel right at home in the city.
These are species that have got used to us and have adapted. There are various reasons. First, the physical environment. In the country, intensive farming deprives them of their habitat. Here they can reproduce with abandon. Second, in the city, they aren't hunted.
On the other side of Berlin, in the Tierpark Zoo, Leon Bartel is looking for hedgehog nests. He's a biologist at the Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research.
No one at home. A hedgehog's made use of this tree trunk, but he's not here. Let's look in the third nest.
Hedgehogs go out at night and sleep all day, but as we've just seen, not always in the same place.
There are more hedgehogs in cities than in the country. That's because our gardens and parks offer great natural habitats.
The project he's working on is about how hedgehogs, bats, boars, raccoons, and other wild animals live in cities. Not the ones in zoo enclosures, but those living free.
One of our aims is to inform the public about the animals that might be living in their gardens and to encourage them to leave the creatures a little space and leave gaps in their fences so animals can come and go. That's important if certain species are to survive. What many people don't realize is that because we've deprived so many species of their natural habitats, their numbers are declining.
Back to the park where we met the wild boar. In the middle, there's a large lake. And it's not just humans who like to chill on its shores. Boars aren't known to be keen swimmers, but they are eager consumers of crisps and cookies.
Run? I like to get close.
Really? How come?
To have a look.
It is really interesting to see the animals in the city. It's great to be able to show them to my son. But we all know about the downside too. They breed fast, they rummage in the garbage, and they can spread disease.
Dirk Ehlert also works with the public. That's really important because people need to do their part to enable the peaceful coexistence of humans and animals in the big city.
In Africa, other animals, say warthogs or elephants, move into towns and villages and cause a commotion. Australia has similar problems. We have to engage with both the supporters and the critics of having animals in our midst. We have to find a way to live with animals. It can't be right to simply fight them off.
Many cities have blossomed into hubs of biodiversity. It's often in the urban jungle that wild animals find what they need to survive and even to thrive.
Let's shift focus to one of the most urgent problems of the 21st century. India's carbon emissions are still very low at 1.8 tons per person compared to the US's 16.8 tons per person. But most of its energy needs are still met by coal, the dirtiest of fossil fuels, pulling it into the list of top 5 carbon polluters in the world. And the plan to double the coal output by 2020 is having a disastrous impact on the environment and on people. Our reporter travelled to Jharia in the eastern part of the country, the heart of India's coal belt.
Savitri Matho is 17 years old. She scavenges in the coal mines of Jharia. Her brother Shiv Kumar is just 9. The two begin work at dawn every day. It's fraught with dangers. The coal has to be hacked out of exposed seams. Once, Shiv Kumar badly injured himself while working. The open coal pit is 150 meters deep. Savitri makes 4 to 5 trips each day. She has to watch out for the police, who chase them away and confiscate their coal. I don't have a choice. I have to do this work. My parents are illiterate. They've worked as laborers all their lives. They can't do anything else. So I try to help them by earning money. I really don't like the work. My heart isn't in it. A few hours of work fetches the equivalent of 3 euros. That's more than what people earn here as day laborers. Some 30,000 people work as coal scavengers. But they pay a heavy price. Burning raw coal releases toxic smoke and gases, causing widespread asthma and respiratory illnesses in the area. Jharia sits atop one of the world's largest coal reserves. The gigantic open pits and deep mines here account for 1/4 of India's coal production. But the coal is also on fire. Dozens of blazes rage below the ground. Some have been smoldering for more than 100 years, when underground mining first began. Most fires ignite spontaneously when minerals in the exposed coal heat up. Continued mining at the surface has opened up cracks that feed oxygen to the flames. The resulting toxic emissions have devastated the environment. The coal fires have destroyed houses and triggered landslides. Ashok Agarwal has been campaigning for the rights of illegal coal workers like Savitri. He says India is paying a huge human cost in its dash for coal.
This government just doesn't bother. So right now, coal is very important. It is very important for their development. They've got to develop massive cities to show to the world that they are at par with them. And at the cost of these people. There's a huge amount of human beings who are going to be deprived of whatever even there's some or the other eking out a living. That will also go.
Savitri is determined to find a way out of the coal mines. Scavenging also helps pay for college. She goes there every day after work to ensure her dreams of getting a good job don't go up in smoke.
Now, alternative sources of energy are definitely the need of the hour, especially in Malaysia, a country with high energy consumption and serious air pollution in big urban centers. Now, the government is keen to make the country and its economy more environmentally sound. But first, it needs to convince consumers, and it's hoping a new eco-label will help. Our reporter is headed to the capital city of Kuala Lumpur to find out.
If only it were this quick and easy to get around Malaysia's capital city, Kuala Lumpur. In reality, rush hour looks more like this. CO2 emissions produced by traffic are one of Malaysia's biggest climate killers, but that's all set to change. For example, with this electric scooter. It was developed by the Malaysian company eClimo. They're especially proud of the high-performance batteries they designed themselves.
The power direct drive on the motor is 6 kilowatt. The batteries that we use is 4 kilowatt hour. This is one of the technology breakthroughs that we have achieved so far. Not only comparing in Malaysia, I would say that comparing to the world.
The Malaysian government supports companies that bring eco-friendly products onto the market, like eClimo. The financial aid and tax breaks are supposed to help Malaysia become a greener country. But over the past 3.5 years, only 400 scooters have left the factory. At around 3,700 euros, they cost twice as much as conventional models.
Our business model right now is to go for the fleet customers who heavily use two-wheelers. Right now, the biggest is Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. KFC are using it for home deliveries. There is a police team patrolling using the bikes. And we also have a local council enforcement team going around patrolling the roads. We have not entered the consumer market. So far, it's only for the fleet customers.
They're also already in use at the Malaysian Ministry of Energy, where manufacturers of eco-friendly products can apply for support from the Environmental Incentive Scheme. It's being implemented by Malaysia Green Technology Corporation with support from the GIZ, Germany's International Cooperation and Development Agency. More than 850 different products and services have already been accepted. They carry a special label, My Hijau, Green Malaysia, but private consumers are still hesitant.
When you go to the supermarket, for example, they're looking at how much this costs in comparison of cost. So that is still a challenge there. So unless we have economies of scale where we can produce these green products at scale, then we can reduce the cost.
More and more companies want to jump on the eco bandwagon. But first, their products are put through their paces. For example, here at the Serum Certification Organisation in Kuala Lumpur. Serum awards its own eco-label, which companies can use to apply for the My Hijau scheme. Will this detergent meet the standards?
The company claims that this product is biodegradable. So we are going to test on the biodegradability potential according to the OECD test method.
The sample is mixed with a bacterial culture. If the sample hasn't dissolved within 28 days, the detergent won't be granted the label. The criteria that have to be fulfilled for the eco-label are tailored to conditions in Malaysia. Not only with respect to health and environmental sustainability, but also with respect to economic feasibility.
Different countries has different culture, different requirements, and different standard of living. So that has to be considered, because otherwise, if we set it too high, like Germany, then second or third world country may not be able to adapt it. So we have to look into the economic situation of the country and how they can adapt with the eco-label.
The next step is to establish uniform ecological standards by region. The German Development Agency is also supporting Malaysia's neighbouring countries, Indonesia, Thailand and the Philippines. Because the more people buy eco-friendly products, the better it is for the environment.
Now, air pollution is a universal threat, and most times a solution on an individual level, after much desperation, is to put on a mask and get on with life. But a collective, Art for Change 21, and its Mask Book project is getting people from around the world to use their masks to make a bold statement and demand for change.
Indian cities are among the most polluted in the world. Poisonous smog can last for days on end. Sometimes the sky is sulphur yellow. Even breathing is painful. Activists in Delhi are using art to highlight the problem. Individually designed anti-pollution masks help raise awareness of air pollution and climate change. Mask Book was launched by the NGO Art of Change 21. A portrait gallery of more than 2,500 photos showcases Mask Book activities in more than 40 countries. The activists perform on the streets and visit schools, working with local partners like Swechha in Delhi. Nearly 100 workshops have been organised in recent years, where participants learn about sustainability and how to change their behaviour and live in a more environmentally friendly way.
Do you like that? If you are also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
I hope today's stories inspired you to be the change you want to see in the world. We'll be back next week with more such stories, each one taking us one step closer to a sustainable future. Goodbye and have a wonderful week.